What's up, guys? So today I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to talk a bit more about games this week because I don't do that enough and I want to start doing more of that. And so I thought, what would be a better way to start this new-ish era of this channel than to discuss one of my favorite video game series, just bar none. For anyone who knows me, you know exactly what this is, but if you don't, my favorite game series is in fact The Legend of Zelda. Just thinking about it, it's very interesting to me that Zelda is my favorite series because in other forms of media, pure fantasy is not the genre that sticks out as like one that I get the most joy out of. And for whatever reason, Zelda is not the rule, Zelda is the exception. With Echoes of Wisdom coming out in just over a month, I thought it would be appropriate to start talking a little bit more about Zelda. The series has always been important to me and I want to share my love for it with you guys. In order for me to talk about Zelda in a form that still makes sense to kind of what I do here, we're going to go through and talk a little bit about my 5 favorite Zelda games. First up, I want to talk a little bit about how I'm defining favorite, because there's a peculiar one or two on this list and I need to have a good reason for putting them here. I'm defining my favorite Zelda game as the one that I'm most likely to want to go and replay. Like, I love the entire series to death. Every single game to me has something in it that I enjoy and something about it that makes me want to play it. But I haven't played Minish Cap since I got it. Like, I got it when it came out, I beat it, and I have not played it since. So while I can recognize that it is a really good game, and it's probably up there in the levels of 2D Zelda, it's not one that I've had the desire or the urge to go and play again over the years. Whereas every single one that I'm bringing up today, I have played through multiple times, I've wanted to play through multiple times, and I've got the urge to play through them again right now. Other than the number 1 spot, which is by and large my favorite Zelda game, the rest of these are really not in any particular order, because they are very different even though they're within the same series. So it's hard to say that this is my favorite over this one because of this. I'm just not going to be able to do it, so I'm not even going to bother trying. So other than number 1, 2 through 5 are in no particular order. And so we're going to start by going back to Zelda 4, Link's Awakening. I particularly have the DX copy, the expanded version that was released for the Game Boy Color. Link's Awakening came out when Zelda was still trying to fully grasp what it was trying to be. It took the ideas that it really honed in on from A Link to the Past and really made those accessible on the Game Boy to create a Zelda adventure that you could take with you on the go. And don't let the fact that it's a Game Boy game fool you. Link's Awakening is a very thoroughly fleshed out Zelda game that does a whole lot even though it's limited to only having 2 buttons. Koholint Island feels very expansive, even though it is a relatively small overworld. In order to traverse it, you have to go through these twisting paths, and it makes it feel a lot bigger than it actually is because of that. I have to say, I've never played the original Link's Awakening. I've only ever played the DX version, which added the color dungeon, and then I've also played the HD remake that was released on the Switch. Both are fantastic in their own rights, and if you haven't played this game, they both are great ways to experience the game. Nostalgia for me might speak a little bit more towards the Game Boy version, but there's a lot of quality of life improvements in the Switch version which make it definitely worth your time, especially if you haven't experienced this game before. The improvements that were done in the Switch version definitely make it the one I'd recommend playing. The next game we're talking about is the one that I mentioned before that was very peculiar. We have Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link. Now, I know that a lot of people don't like this game, and I'm planning an entire video talking about this game in particular, so I don't want to go too much into it. I just want to say that yes, this is very much the black sheep of the series. Although I'm only a 90s kid, my first video game experience was actually the NES because my dad had one, and Adventures of Link is one of the games we had, and this game is one of the games that I cut my teeth on as a gamer. And while I will fully admit that this is the black sheep of the series, the history I have with this game makes it stand out as not only one of my favorite Zelda games, but one of, if not my favorite NES game. Be warned, it is bullcrap hard, and don't be afraid to use a guide. But this was only the second Zelda game, so it didn't even know what it wanted to be yet. And you can definitely feel that, because like there's RPG elements, it's a side scroller, but it still holds a special place in my heart. And if you haven't played it, I do recommend giving it a shot. And if you played it a long time ago and didn't like it, maybe revisit it. You might change your mind about it. It's available on NSO on the Switch. If you have an NES and can track down a cartridge, you can do that. They also released a version of it on the Game Boy Advance as well, so that's an option too if you want to play it that way. Going back to the early 2000s now, we are going to talk a little bit about the seafaring adventure of The Wind Waker. While all the Zelda games are adventure games, the one that to me captures the sense of adventure the best has to go to The Wind Waker. You start off as just this little lazy nobody on an island, and you kind of just get picked up and thrust into this adventure where you're trying to save your sister and wind up saving the world. It always feels like the realest form of an adventure that you can go on. You encounter so many different races of people, go through all these different environments, all while sailing the open ocean. It's just truly an adventure that I loved going on the first time I played this game as a kid. I loved it every time I've played it since then. I loved revisiting it on the Wii U. It just truly is a great adventure experience that you owe it to yourself to try if you haven't. Either of these versions are worth playing, but both of them are really hard to come across nowadays for any kind of fair price. So don't feel bad about emulating it if you have to. But if you're a fan of this style of game, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker needs to be on your playlist. Next up, the last of the unranked favorite Zelda games is actually up to this point their most recent endeavor, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom surprised me. I really enjoyed Breath of the Wild when it came out. I felt like it was a bit of a departure from the Zelda form that we had come to know, because Breath of the Wild was trying to harken back to the original days of the original Zelda game, where it was purely just an adventure, where you're plopped into this space, given a few tools, and told to just go. And that's what Breath of the Wild was. And Tears of the Kingdom expands upon that in basically every single way. The level of creativity that you're allowed in this game is just absolutely bonkers. Seriously, go look up on YouTube any of the wild creations that people have made with the tools that you're given in this game, and it's just an amazing thing to see. I feel Tears of the Kingdom handled its story better than Breath of the Wild did. While still having the minimal-ish storytelling, I feel the story in this game was all around better than Breath of the Wild. It just felt like a more fleshed out story with a final boss fight that was actually like really, really, really fun. I was a little underwhelmed with the Breath of the Wild boss fight, and Tears of the Kingdom, to me, made up for that on every front. The approach to the final boss, the actual different phases of the fight, and just that epic ending was something that I'll remember for a long time. You've probably played this one if you're watching this video, but if you haven't, go play Breath of the Wild first, because playing this game benefits from knowing Breath of the Wild. So go play Breath of the Wild, go play Tears of the Kingdom, just do it. Now, I said the others were in no particular order. They were just kind of all my favorite Zelda games, and it was hard to rank. There's no hard to rank. This is my favorite Zelda game here. This is number one, and number one is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I've always been a fan of darker storytelling. You know, in stories like this, you're gonna come out on top, but you don't know what the journey is gonna actually entail. And that journey can be scary, that journey can be depressing, that journey can be sad. And I feel like Majora's Mask does a really good job of encompassing that feeling in games, because there are moments in this game that are stressful. The ever-present time limit of the moon crashing down is stressful. The stories that the individuals tell you, the lives that they're going through in those 3 days, some of it's sad. I think one of the things that stands out to me the most about Majora's Mask is this is a game that I've played that has felt the most alive, because not only does every single character have a story, but every single character has a schedule. And to properly finish the game and understand and really get the entire story that this game's trying to tell, you have to learn everyone's schedule to be able to know what they're doing when they're doing it. It's not like other games where if you finish a spot of the story, the next spot of the story is gonna wait for you to show up. Majora's Mask doesn't do that. If you're not on time, that bit of the story will leave you behind. Couple that with just the overall darker storytelling like I was mentioning before, and you have a game that stands as not only my favorite Zelda game, not only probably my favorite N64 game, but also one of my favorite video games just of all time. This is a game that stands up there with something like Shadow of the Colossus and The Last of Us. When I look at all the games I've played and think, what games have I played that really showcase why I'm a gamer? And on that list is Majora's Mask. The original game on the N64 is great. It's on NSO. Yeah, on the Switch if you want to play it. They also did a 3DS remake of it, which for the most part is good. Whereas Ocarina of Time, I feel the definitive version to play is the 3DS version. While they made some quality of life improvements to the game on the 3DS, they also made some changes that I was not a fan of. While those improvements were really good, I still think the best way to play Majora's Mask is on the N64, or at least the N64 version of it, whether you play it on the N64, on the GameCube, on the Collector's Edition, if you bought it on the Virtual Console, on the Wii or the Wii U, or if you're playing it on the NSO on the Switch. I feel like this is the definitive version of this game, and you should definitely give it a shot. But yeah, that's my 5 favorite Zelda games. I want to go replay every single one of these sometime soon. The itch is just coming back, and I want to experience them all over again. What about you guys? If you've played a Zelda game before, tell me down below in the comments. What's been your favorite Zelda game that you've played so far? And if you haven't played all of the Zelda games, what's your most anticipated one? What's the one that you're looking forward to playing the most once you get the chance to? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. But I think that's going to be it for me for this one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I look forward to bringing you even more videos just like this one as the days go on. Make sure to hit that like button down below if you like the video, and subscribe if you like what I do here, because we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. So again, thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one, y'all.